I need to show you something right now before I explain anything. This is security camera footage from October 17th, 2019. Silvercord Villa, Hong Kong, 3rd floor lobby, 3:27 a.m. Watch the elevator on the left. Door closed. Nobody pressed the button. Nobody's waiting. Now watch. The elevator starts moving. Up. Floor 7. Floor 12. Floor 18. Floor 24. Floor 27. It stops. The doors open. Nobody gets out because nobody's inside. The elevator sits there, empty. Doors open for exactly 32 seconds. Then the doors close. The elevator comes back down, empty. This happens every single night between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. every night for 36 years. Now watch this footage. Same building, same elevator. 3:41 a.m. A woman gets out of the elevator. 28th floor. She's in pajamas, barefoot. She walks down the corridor. She doesn't look left or right. She walks like she's being pulled by an invisible string. She reaches apartment 2847. She walks past it. She stops at the window at the end of the corridor, the one that faces the balconies. She stands there, completely still, for 4 minutes. Then she walks back. Same mechanical walk. Gets in the elevator. Goes back to her apartment. The next morning, she had no memory of leaving her bed. Her name was Linda Chen. She was 32 years old. Marketing executive, healthy, happy, no history of sleepwalking, no history of mental illness. 6 weeks later, she jumped from her balcony. Floor 28, 3:18 a.m. She left no note, no warning, no explanation. She was the 14th person to jump from this building since it opened in 1988. There's been one more since her. 15 deaths, 36 years, same building, same floors, same time window. And here's what makes it worse. The survivors, the people who went to those balconies and somehow came back, they all say the same thing. Something told me to jump. I heard a voice. I felt hands pushing me. It wasn't me. I didn't want to die, but I couldn't stop. This is Silvercord Villa, Hong Kong's most expensive suicide note, written in blood and silence over 36 years, and nobody's talking about it until now. Before we go any further, I need you to understand what we're doing here. This isn't entertainment. This isn't clickbait. This is investigation. 15 people are dead. Their families deserve answers. The survivors deserve to be believed. And you deserve to know the truth about one of Asia's darkest secrets. We're building the most comprehensive database of documented horror cases in Asia. Real victims, real evidence, real locations you can verify yourself. But here's the thing. Nobody else is doing this work. Mainstream media won't touch it. Local authorities deny there's a pattern. Building management threatens lawsuits. We're going alone, and we need your help. Subscribe right now. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Just 1,000. That's all we need to prove there's an audience for truth, for real investigations, for cases the world has forgotten. 1,000 subscribers means we can travel to Hong Kong, interview more survivors, access police archives, hire translators for documents that have never been made public. Every single subscriber matters. Every single one brings us closer to the truth. If you want answers, if you want us to keep investigating cases like this, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on all notifications, because what I'm about to show you, what we found when we actually went to this building, when we spoke to survivors who've never spoken publicly before, when we obtained security footage that building management tried to suppress, It's going to change everything you think you know about suicide. 1,000 subscribers. That's our goal. Help us reach it. Subscribe now. Silvercord Tower, Canton Road, Simsha Tsui, Kowloon, Hong Kong. 33 floors. Built 1988. Mixed-use development. High-end retail on floors 1 through 5. Residential floors 6 through 33. Prime location. 2 minutes from the Star Ferry. 5 minutes from the MTR. Ocean views from the upper floors. This should be one of the most desirable addresses in Hong Kong. Average property price in this neighborhood? 25 million Hong Kong dollars. That's 3.2 million US dollars for a 2-bedroom apartment. Silvercord Villa Apartments, 15 million. That's a 40% discount in a city where property values have increased 300% since 1988. Silvercord has lost value, and it gets worse. The building has a 97% vacancy rate on floors 26 through 29, the death floors, in a city where people pay $2,000 a month to live in a cage, where families of 4 share a 100-square-foot apartment, where the housing crisis is so severe the government builds on landfill because there's no space left. Luxury apartments in Silvercord Villa sit empty, have been empty for years, some for over a decade, because everyone in Hong Kong knows, the locals know, the real estate agents know, the insurance companies know. You don't live in Silvercord Villa, especially not the upper floors, because something in that building makes people jump, and it's been doing it for 36 years. Let me show you exactly how it happens. The building opened in January 1988, sold out in 3 months. Everyone wanted to live there. New building, modern, prime location, good feng shui, or so they thought. Then March 17th, 1989, 14 months after opening, David Wong, 34 years old, investment banker, floor 28, apartment 2834, married, 2 young children, no financial problems, no depression, no warning signs. 3:23 a.m. He walked out onto his balcony. He climbed over the railing, and he jumped. His wife heard the sound. She woke up. His side of the bed was empty. The balcony door was open. She ran outside. He was already gone. No note, no goodbye, no explanation. The police investigated, ruled it suicide. Case closed. Tragic, but not unusual. Hong Kong has a high suicide rate. Stress, pressure, long work hours. It happens. But then November 9th, 1989, 8 months later, Margaret Leung, 42 years old, high school teacher, floor 26, apartment 2612, divorced but content, close with her family, loved her job, students adored her. 2:58 a.m. She walked onto her balcony. She climbed over the railing. She jumped. Her sister was staying with her that weekend, sleeping in the guest room. She heard nothing. Woke up at 7 a.m., found her sister's bed empty, found the balcony door open. No note, no warning, no explanation. Police investigated, ruled it suicide. Case closed. 2 deaths, same building, both upper floors, both between 2 and 4 a.m., both with no warning signs. Coincidence? That's what police thought. Then April 3rd, 1990, 5 months later, Tommy Chu, 28 years old, architect, floor 27, apartment 2723, engaged. Wedding planned for June, excited about his future, talking about starting a family. 1:53 a.m. He walked onto his balcony. He climbed over the railing. He jumped. His fiancée was asleep beside him. She woke up at 2:30, reached for him. He wasn't there. She found the balcony door open. No note, no warning. The wedding invitations were already printed. Police investigated, ruled it suicide. But this time, They started asking questions. 3 deaths. Same building, same floors, same time, same method. All people with no apparent reason to die. That's when they noticed the pattern. Death 1, floor 28, 3:23 a.m. Death 2, floor 26, 2:58 a.m. Death 3, floor 27, 1:53 a.m. All upper floors, all between 1 and 4 a.m., all with no warning. Police opened a formal investigation. They interviewed neighbors, reviewed building records, checked for structural issues, gas leaks, carbon monoxide, anything that could explain it. They found nothing. And then the deaths continued. September 15th, 1990. Susan Tam, 31 years old. Floor 28, 4:08 a.m. Mother of 2. Children were sleeping in the next room. February 22nd, 1991. Kenneth Ng, 45 years old. Floor 29, 2:31 a.m. Business owner. Successful. Profitable company. No financial stress. October 8th, 1991. Emily Chow, 38 years old. Floor 27, 3:19 a.m. Teacher. Loved by her students. Just received an award for excellence in education. December 11th, 1992. Michael Young, 29 years old. Floor 28, 2:04 a.m. Recently promoted. Celebrating his success. Planning a vacation. 7 deaths. 4 years. Same building. Same pattern. By 1993, Hong Kong media was paying attention. Headlines called it the suicide tower, the death building, the jumping floors. Property values started to drop. Residents started to move out. New buyers stopped coming. The building management panicked. They hired investigators, structural engineers, environmental health specialists, feng shui masters. The engineers found nothing wrong. No structural defects, no foundation issues. Building was sound. The environmental specialists found nothing dangerous. No gas leaks, no carbon monoxide, no radon, no electromagnetic anomalies. Air quality was normal. The feng shui masters, however, had a different opinion. They said the building sits on inauspicious land, T-junction, negative energy flowing directly at the property, northwest facing, the direction of death and loss, and something else, something about the land itself. The management took their advice. They placed mirrors to deflect bad energy, planted bamboo to absorb negative qi, installed water features to improve flow, and for 3 years, the deaths stopped. No deaths, no deaths, no deaths. People thought maybe it was over. Maybe it was the feng shui adjustments. Maybe it was just a statistical anomaly that had run its course. Then 1996, 3 people jumped. Within 4 months, all from the upper floors, all between 2 and 4 a.m. The feng shui hadn't worked, or whatever was in that building had adapted, grown stronger, waited. Between 1996 and 2019, 8 more people jumped, bringing the total to 15. 15 confirmed deaths, 36 years. And here's what makes it truly terrifying. In every single case, the victims had no history of mental illness, no suicidal ideation, no warning signs, no notes, no goodbyes. They just woke up in the middle of the night, walked to their balconies, and jumped, like they were being called, like they were being commanded, like they had no choice. But there were survivors, people who felt the same call, heard the same voice, but somehow resisted. And what they told us will make you never want to live in a high-rise building again. Her name is Sarah. She asked us not to use her real name, not to show her face. She's afraid that if she's identified, it will come back for her. She lived in Silvercord Villa from March to June 1995, floor 27, apartment 2718. She was 29 years old, marketing executive, healthy, active, no history of depression, no mental illness, no medication. This is what she told us. I moved in March 1st, 1995. Beautiful apartment, great view. I was excited. First time living alone, good salary, nice place. Everything was going well. The first week was normal. I loved it. Came home from work, cooked dinner, watched TV, went to bed. Normal life. Second week, I started having strange dreams. Not nightmares exactly, just strange. I was standing on my balcony, looking down, feeling peaceful, like I was floating. I'd wake up confused. I don't usually remember dreams, but thus I remembered, vividly, every detail. Third week, the dreams got more intense. I was on the balcony, and someone was with me. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them, standing behind me, very close, and they were whispering. I couldn't understand the words, but I could feel them, in my head, in my chest, whispering. Fourth week, I stopped sleeping well. I'd wake up multiple times, always around 2 or 3 a.m., always feeling like someone was watching me. One night, I woke up at 2:17 a.m. Exactly. I looked at the clock, 2:17, and I felt it, a pull, like a magnet, like gravity was sideways, pulling me toward the balcony. I got out of bed. I didn't decide to. My body just moved, like I was on a track. No control. I walked to the balcony door. I opened it. The cold air hit my face. I was in my underwear and a t-shirt. February. Cold, but I didn't feel it. I walked outside. I walked to the railing. I put my hands on it. The metal was freezing. I could feel it, but I didn't react. I just stood there, and then I looked down. 27 floors. The street was empty, dark. The cars looked like toys, and I heard it, the voice, clear as day, inside my head, speaking Cantonese. Tulok heoi, jump down. Nei ui fei, you will fly. Hopa, don't be afraid. It wasn't my voice. It wasn't my thought. It was someone else, someone older, someone male, speaking slowly, deliberately, gently, like a father talking to a child, encouraging, kind. Tulok heoi, jump down. My hands gripped the railing. My foot lifted. I started to climb, and then my phone rang. Inside, in my bedroom, my ringtone, loud, jarring, breaking the silence. The voice stopped, like someone had turned off a switch. Gone, instantly. I looked down at my body. I was standing on the bottom railing, one foot on the bar, body leaning forward over the railing, hands gripping the top bar. One more second, and I would have pulled myself up and over. I climbed down, fast, panicked, ran inside, grabbed my phone. It was my mother, calling from Vancouver. She said she couldn't sleep. She had a bad dream about me. She needed to hear my voice, make sure I was okay. I told her I was fine. I hung up. I looked at the balcony door. It was still open. The curtain was blowing in the wind, and I realized if my mother hadn't called, if the phone hadn't rung at that exact second, I would be dead, 27 floors down, broken on the pavement. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I sat in my living room, all the lights on, door locked, chair pushed against the balcony door. The next morning, I called an estate agent. I said I needed to break my lease, family emergency. I'd pay whatever penalty. The agent asked which building. I told her Silvercord Villa. She went quiet. Then she said, "What floor?" I said 27. She went silent again. Then she said, "You're the third person this month to break a lease in that building. All upper floors. I moved out within 2 weeks. I lost my deposit. I paid 2 months penalty. I didn't care. I just wanted out." That was 1995, 29 years ago. I still can't sleep facing a window. I still can't live above the 10th floor. I still wake up sometimes at 2:17 a.m. exactly, and I still hear it. Sometimes, when it's very quiet, when I'm alone. That voice, faint, far away, but still there. Chiulokheoi, jump down. I'm lucky. My mother called. The phone rang. The voice stopped. I survived. But I think about the others, the 15 who jumped. Did they hear the same voice? Did they have the same pull? Did they stand on that railing like I did? And did anyone call them? Did anyone break the spell? Or did they just jump? I don't know. But I know this. Something in that building wanted me dead. And if you gave me $1 million, I wouldn't spend one night on those upper floors. Not one night. Sarah moved to Singapore in 1996. She's never been back to Hong Kong. The second survivor is Dr. Helen Tam. She's a psychiatrist, someone who treats people with suicidal ideation for a living, someone who understands the human mind, the warning signs, the thought patterns, and she's absolutely convinced that what happened to her in Silvercord Villa wasn't her mind. It was something external. She lived there from January to April 2003, floor 28, apartment 2841. This is what she told us, and she agreed to let us use her real name because she wants people to know. She wants people to be warned. I'm a psychiatrist. I've been practicing for 18 years. I've treated hundreds of patients with depression, suicidal ideation, psychotic breaks. I know what mental illness looks like. I know the signs. What happened to me in that apartment doesn't fit any diagnostic criteria I know. I moved in January 2003. I'd just taken a position at Queen Mary Hospital. I needed something close. Silvercord Villa was available. 28th floor. Good price. I took it. I should have asked why the price was so good. I should have asked why a luxury apartment in Tsim, Tsui was 40% below market. But I didn't. I was busy. New job. Long hours. I just needed a place to sleep. The first month was fine. Nothing unusual. I worked 12, 14-hour days. Came home exhausted. Went straight to bed. No problems. Second month, February, I started noticing things. Small things. The balcony door would be unlocked in the morning. I was sure I'd locked it the night before, but I thought maybe I'd forgotten. Long hours. Tired mind. Then I started finding footprints on the balcony. Small. Barefoot. My size. But I never went out there. It was winter. Cold. Why would I go out barefoot? I told myself I must be sleepwalking. I'm a doctor. I understand parasomnias. It happens. Stress. New environment. New job. So I put a chair in front of the balcony door. If I sleepwalked, I'd knock it over. I'd hear it. I'd wake up. The next morning, the chair was moved. Pushed to the side. The door was unlocked. Footprints on the balcony. But I didn't remember hearing anything. Didn't remember waking. Didn't remember moving the chair. That's when I started to worry. Third week of February, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. Not in my bed, not in my room. I was standing on my balcony, barefoot, in my pajamas, facing outward, hands on the railing. I have no memory of getting there, no memory of getting out of bed, opening the door, walking outside. Nothing. I was just suddenly awake, standing there, 28 floors up, freezing cold, wind blowing. I looked down at my hands. They were gripping the railing, white knuckles, like I'd been holding on for a long time. And then I felt it, hands on my back, between my shoulder blades, flat palms, cold, so cold I could feel it through my pajama top, pushing, not hard, not violent, just steady, constant, forward, toward the edge. I spun around fast, to see who was there, to confront whoever was pushing me. Nobody. The balcony was empty. The door was open. My apartment was dark inside. No lights, no movement, nobody. But I felt it. The pressure was still there, on my spine, cold, pushing. I backed away from the railing. The pressure followed, stayed with me, constant, like hands moving with me. I turned and ran, sprinted inside, slammed the balcony door, locked it, pushed my dresser in front of it with strength I didn't know I had. The pressure stopped. Gone. Instantly. I stood there, breathing hard, heart pounding, and I realized my hands hurt. I looked down. My palms were raw, red, like I'd been gripping something very hard for a very long time. I checked my security camera. I'd installed one inside, facing the living room, for safety. I rewound the footage. At 2:47 a.m., I walked out of my bedroom, eyes open, but not really awake, sleepwalking. I walked to the balcony door. I unlocked it. 3 locks. I unlocked all 3, methodically, like I knew exactly what I was doing. I opened the door. I walked outside. I walked directly to the railing. I gripped it with both hands, and I stood there for 18 minutes, just standing, gripping, staring down. At 3:12 a.m., I suddenly jerked, like I'd been shocked. That's when I woke up. That's when I felt the hands. But here's what terrified me. In the 18 minutes I was standing there, the camera captured something. The curtain moved, not from wind. There was no wind inside. The balcony door blocks the breeze. The curtain moved like something walked through it, from outside, coming inside. And then the camera glitched for exactly 4 seconds. When it came back, the curtain was still. 4 seconds. That's when I felt the hands. That's when I spun around. That's when I ran. I'm a scientist. I don't believe in the paranormal. I believe in neurology, psychology, medicine. But I can't explain this. I can't explain why I sleepwalked to a balcony I never use. Why I unlocked 3 locks I don't remember unlocking. Why I stood there for 18 minutes. Why I felt hands when nobody was there. And I can't explain the camera glitch. Exactly when I felt the hands. Exactly when something came inside. I moved out that week. I broke my lease. I lost 3 months' deposit. I didn't care. I sold my furniture. Left it there. I took my clothes and my laptop. And I left. I'm a psychiatrist. I treat people who hear voices, see things, feel things that aren't there. And I'm telling you, what I experienced was not my mind. It was external. It was real. It was in that building. And if I hadn't woken up when I did, if I'd stood there for 1 more minute, I believe those hands would have pushed me over, and I would have been death number 11. I will never set foot in that building again. Never. Dr. Helen Tom now works in Toronto. She refuses to live above the 5th floor in any building. She still wakes up sometimes at 3:12 a.m. She checks her balcony door, makes sure it's locked, makes sure the chair's still there. The 3rd survivor didn't survive because of strength or luck. He survived because he listened to his 4-year-old daughter. His name is Michael. He lived in Silvercord Villa from September to December 2008, floor 29, apartment 2956, with his wife and their daughter, Emma. This is what he told us. We moved in September. My wife's company transferred her to Hong Kong. We needed a place fast. Silvercord Villa had availability. Good price. We took it. Emma was 4. She just started at an international preschool. Bright kid. Happy. Imaginative. Normal 4-year-old. First week, she loved the apartment. Big windows. She could see the harbor. She thought we lived in the sky. Second week, she started talking about the man. She'd say, "Daddy, who's the man on the balcony?" I'd look, nobody there. I'd say, "What man?" She'd say, "The tall man. He's always there at night." I thought imaginary friend. Kids have imaginary friends. Normal development. I didn't worry. But then she started drawing pictures. Always the same picture. A tall, dark figure. Very tall. Thin. Standing on a balcony. Arms outstretched. And always a smile. A big, wide smile. I asked her, "Who is this?" She said, "The flying man. He lives on our balcony. He comes at night." My wife and I thought it was cute. Childhood imagination. We put the drawings on the fridge. Then Emma started having nightmares. Every night. Screaming. Crying. She'd wake up terrified. She'd say, "The flying man wants me to go outside. He says I can fly. He says he'll show me how." We took her to a pediatrician. The doctor said night terrors. Common at that age. She'll outgrow it. But it got worse. She started sleepwalking. We'd find her in the living room, standing, staring at the balcony door, still asleep. We installed a lock on her bedroom door from the outside, so she couldn't get out at night. But then she started screaming in her room, banging on the door, crying, "Let me out. The flying man says I have to go outside. Let me out." My wife and I were exhausted. We were taking turns staying up, watching her, making sure she didn't hurt herself. Then one night, November 23rd, 2008, I woke up at 2:58 a.m. I don't know why, just a feeling, a bad feeling. I got up. I checked Emma's room. Her door was open. The lock was broken. The screws were pulled out of the wood. A 4-year-old shouldn't be able to do that. Her bed was empty. I panicked. I ran through the apartment, calling her name. Emma. Emma. I found her in the living room. She dragged a chair from the dining room, a heavy wooden chair. She'd positioned it in front of the balcony door. She was standing on the chair, reaching up. Her little fingers were on the top lock, the one we installed high specifically so she couldn't reach it. She was turning it, slowly, carefully. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't awake. And she was talking, not to me, to someone else. She was saying, "Yes, I'm coming. I want to fly. I want to see the moon." I grabbed her, pulled her off the chair. She woke up. She looked at me, and she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Papa, why did you stop me?" The flying man promised. He said if I go outside, I can fly to the moon and the stars. He said I can fly forever. I looked at the balcony door. The top lock was halfway turned. 5 more seconds, and she would have opened it. The chair was right next to the railing. She would have climbed up. She would have gone over 33 floors. My baby. I looked at my wife. She was standing in the hallway, white as a ghost. She'd seen everything. We didn't say a word. We went to Emma's room. We packed her bag. We packed our bags. We threw everything in suitcases. We grabbed our passports. We walked out of that apartment at 3:30 a.m. We went straight to the airport. We took the first flight to Singapore. I didn't call the landlord, didn't call the agent, didn't care about the deposit, the furniture, the lease. None of it mattered. My daughter is alive. That's all that matters. But here's what haunts me. Here's what I can't explain. When we got to Singapore, when Emma was finally safe, we looked at her drawings, the ones of the flying man. In every picture, the flying man is standing on a balcony, arms outstretched, smiling. And in every picture, there's a small figure next to him, a child, also with arms outstretched, also smiling. Emma drew herself with the flying man. She drew herself flying. She was 4 years old. She'd never been on our balcony. We never let her near it. Too dangerous. But she knew exactly what it looked like. The railing, The view, the drop, like she'd been there, like she'd stood there, like someone had shown her. Emma is 16 now. She doesn't remember living in Hong Kong. She doesn't remember the flying man. She doesn't remember her nightmares. But sometimes, when we pass a tall building, she'll stop. She'll look up, and she'll say, "We used to live in the sky, didn't we?" And I'll say yes, but not anymore. We live on the ground now, where it's safe. Michael and his family never returned to Hong Kong. They live in Singapore. Ground floor apartment, no balconies. 3 survivors, 3 separate years, 3 separate apartments, all describing the same experience. A voice, a compulsion, a feeling of being watched, a feeling of being pushed. And they're the lucky ones, because they survived. They got away. They're still alive to tell their stories. But 15 people didn't make it. 15 people heard the voice and couldn't resist. 15 people went to those balconies and never came back. If you want us to continue this investigation, if you want us to find out why this is happening, who or what is in that building, you need to subscribe right now. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. We need just a few hundred more. Every single subscription tells us this matters, that you care, that you want the truth. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, help us reach 1,000, because we're not done with Silvercord Villa. We're going back. We're going to the building. We're going to the upper floors. We're going to document everything. And when we do, you'll be the first to see it. Subscribe now. 1,000 subscribers. Help us get there. The survivors told us their stories, but they're not the only ones who know something is wrong with that building. The security guards know, the ones who work there, who patrol the floors every night, who see things they're not supposed to see. We spoke to 3 former guards. None of them would let us use their real names. None of them would appear on camera. They're afraid of being blacklisted, afraid of losing work. But they told us things that aren't in any police report, things management doesn't want public. The first guard worked there from 1995 to 2001, 6 years, night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. This is what he told us. Every guard who works at Silvercord knows the rules, unofficial rules, things management doesn't tell you, things you learn from the other guards. Rule number 1, never patrol the upper floors alone after midnight. Never. You take a partner. Always. Why? Because things happen up there, things you can't explain. The elevators move on their own, every single night, between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. You'll be sitting in the security office, watching the monitors. All 4 elevators are on the ground floor. Nobody's in the building except us guards. Residents are asleep. Then elevator number 3 starts moving. Up, floor by floor. 7, 12, 18, 24, 27. It stops at 27. Doors open. Nobody gets out, because nobody's inside. The elevator just sits there. Doors open, empty, for exactly 30 seconds. Then the doors close. Elevator comes back down. Ground floor. Doors open, empty. This happens every night, sometimes multiple times, always between 2 and 4 a.m., always to the upper floors. 26, 27, 28, 29. We reported it to management. They said it's a malfunction, electrical issue. They sent technicians, multiple times. Technicians couldn't find anything wrong. Elevators work perfectly during the day, but at night, they move on their own. Rule number 2, if you hear footsteps on the upper floors, Don't investigate alone. Every night around 3 a.m., we hear it. Footsteps, walking back and forth on the balconies. Heavy footsteps, slow, deliberate, pacing. We check the cameras. The balconies are empty, all of them, but we hear it, clear as day, walking back and forth on floors 27, 28, 29. First time I heard it, I went up to check. I took the stairs, got to the 27th floor, walked down the corridor to the window that faces the balconies. I could still hear it. Footsteps, right below me, pacing. I looked out the window. The balconies were empty, all of them. No movement, nothing, but I could hear it. Footsteps, right there. And then I felt it, cold, so cold, right where I was standing. The temperature dropped. I could see my breath. I backed away. The cold followed me, like I was standing in a bubble of freezing air. I ran, took the stairs down, back to the security office. The other guard looked at me. He said, "You went up there alone, didn't you?" I nodded. He said, "Don't do that again. Never go up there alone. Rule number 3, never respond to calls from vacant apartments. The intercom system connects all the apartments to the security desk. If a resident needs help, they press a button. It rings in our office. Sometimes we get calls from vacant apartments that have been empty for months. No furniture, no residents, no power even. The intercom rings. We answer. Static. Sometimes breathing. Sometimes a voice. Faint. Distant. Speaking Cantonese. The voice always says the same thing. "Tu lak heoi, lo bang ngo." Jump down. Help me. First few times it happened, we went up to check, thinking maybe squatters or malfunction. The apartments are empty, always empty. No signs of entry, no footprints, nothing. But the calls keep coming, 2 or 3 times a week, always from the upper floor vacant units. Always the same message. Management says it's electrical interference, old wiring. They refuse to disconnect the system. So now we just don't respond. We hear the intercom. We see it's from a vacant unit. We let it ring. We don't go up there. Rule number 4. The most important rule. If you see someone on a balcony after midnight, call for backup before you investigate. Because sometimes what you see on those balconies isn't a person. The second guard worked there from 2005 to 2012. 7 years. He quit because of what he saw. This is what he told us. March 2012, 3:17 a.m. I was doing my rounds, 28th floor, checking all the corridor doors were locked, standard procedure. I looked out the window at the end of the corridor. It overlooks 6 balconies. You can see them clearly from that angle. And I saw someone standing on one of the balconies, a figure, tall, very tall, wearing dark clothes, just standing there, facing outward, looking down at the street. I thought it was a resident, maybe couldn't sleep, getting some air. It happens. Insomnia is common in Hong Kong, but then I looked closer. The figure wasn't moving at all, not even breathing, completely still, like a statue. And the apartment was dark. All the lights were off, and according to the registry, that unit had been vacant for 5 months. I radioed the other guard, told him possible intruder, vacant unit 2847. Someone on the balcony. He came up. We went to the apartment, used the master key, unlocked the door. The apartment was empty, completely empty. No furniture, no people, nothing. Dust on the floor. Nobody had been there in months. We checked the balcony. We opened the door. Cold wind. Empty balcony. Nothing. But I saw someone. I know I did. Standing right there. I was looking at it for 30 seconds before I radioed. The other guard said I was tired. Long shift. Eyes playing tricks. But I know what I saw, and I know this. The figure I saw was too tall, at least 7 feet, maybe taller, and thin, too thin, like bones wrapped in cloth, and it wasn't standing on the balcony floor. It was floating. 6 inches above the ground, I could see the gap between its feet and the concrete. I quit the next morning, told the manager I had a family emergency, turned in my uniform, never went back. I worked security for 20 years. I've seen a lot. Fights, thefts, medical emergencies, domestic violence. But what I saw on that balcony was different. That wasn't human. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't human, and I'm not going back to find out. The third guard worked there from 2015 to 2020. He has a different story because he didn't just see something. He heard it speak. This is what he told us. October 2019, 2:48 a.m. I was in the security office, monitoring cameras. Quiet night, nothing happening. Then elevator number 3 started moving, on its own, like always. Up to the 28th floor, doors opened, empty, standard, happens every night. But this time, something was different. I was watching the monitor. The elevator doors were open, empty elevator, empty corridor, nobody there. Then I heard it, through the intercom. The elevator has an intercom system for emergencies. A voice, speaking Cantonese, male voice, old, raspy, like someone who'd been screaming for hours. The voice said, "Ngo hai ni do, ngo matsu. I'm here. I'm dying. Chulo kioi. Lobongo. Jump down. Help me." Then the voice started laughing. Not a happy laugh, a broken laugh, like someone who'd gone insane. The laugh lasted 12 seconds. Then it stopped. Silence. The elevator doors closed. Elevator came back down. I checked the footage. I replayed it, enhanced the audio. The voice was clear, real, not interference, not static. A real human voice. But the elevator was empty. The camera shows inside the elevator. Nobody was there. So where did the voice come from? Who was speaking? I reported it to management. They said I imagined it. Stress, lack of sleep. But I have the recording. I saved it. I have proof. And here's what makes it worse. I ran the voice through analysis software. Speech pattern analysis. Age estimation. The voice belonged to a male. Age range 60 to 75. Heavy smoker or lung damage. Native Cantonese speaker. Hong Kong accent specifically. Then I did research. I looked up the deaths. The 15 people who jumped. Death number 1. David Wong, investment banker. 34 years old when he died in 1989. If he was still alive today, he'd be 69 years old. And David Wong was a smoker. Heavy smoker. It's in the police report. His wife mentioned it. Said he'd been trying to quit. I don't know if it was him. I don't know if the voice in the elevator was David Wong, asking for help 30 years after he died. But I know this. The voice was real, and it was calling from inside an empty elevator. And it said, "Help me. Jump down." I quit in December 2020. I don't work security anymore. I'm a taxi driver now. I make less money, but I sleep better. 3 guards, 3 different years, all describing things they can't explain. Elevators moving on their own, footsteps with no source, figures on empty balconies, voices from empty spaces. And they're not the only ones. We spoke to cleaning staff, maintenance workers, real estate agents, even some residents who still live there. They all know. They all have stories. They all describe the same thing. Something is wrong with the upper floors. Something that makes people want to jump. Something that's been there since the building opened. And nobody knows what it is, or why it's there, or how to make it stop. But maybe the answer isn't in the building. Maybe it's under it, in the land itself. We hired a local historian, someone who knows Hong Kong's history, who has access to archives, old newspapers, city planning documents, land records, and what he found explains everything. The land Silvercord Villa sits on has a dark past, a past nobody talks about, a past that was buried, literally. In the 1950s and 60s, that area of Tsim, Tsui was a shantytown, illegal structures, thousands of people living in poverty, wood and metal shacks, no running water, no electricity, no safety regulations. It was a fire waiting to happen. December 8th, 1966, 2:47 a.m. A fire started in one of the shacks. Nobody knows how. Cooking stove, electrical short, candle. It doesn't matter. The fire spread fast. The structures were made of wood, packed together, no space between them. The fire jumped from building to building. By the time firefighters arrived, half the shanty town was burning. People were trapped. The paths between structures were too narrow. Only one or two people could pass at a time. When everyone tried to run at once, they bottled up, crushed each other, fell, got trampled. The fire moved faster than they could run. By sunrise, 43 people were dead, burned alive, crushed, suffocated by smoke. And here's the detail that matters. Here's the connection. The fire started at 2:47 a.m., the same time Linda Chen walked to her balcony in 2019, the same time the security guard heard the voice in the elevator. 2:47 a.m., and most of the victims? They died trying to escape. They ran to the edge of the shantytown, to the cliff, to the drop, looking for a way down, a way out. Some jumped, 40 feet down to the road below. Some survived, most didn't. After the fire, the government cleared the land, demolished what was left, relocated the survivors, but they didn't perform any rituals, no blessings, no acknowledgement of the dead. They just cleared the land and sold it to developers. And in 1988, Silvercord Villa was built on top of it, right on top of the spot where 43 people burned to death, where people jumped from the cliffs trying to escape. According to traditional Chinese beliefs, this is a textbook case for haunting. Violent death, mass casualties, fire, suffering, no proper burial, no rituals, land disturbed, new construction without blessings. The spirits remain, trapped, confused, reliving their final moments. And what were their final moments? Running to the edge, looking down, jumping, jump down. That's what the voice says. Jump down. Because that's what they did. That's their last memory. Jumping, trying to escape the fire. And now they're making the living do the same thing, recreating their death over and over, every night, between 2 and 4 a.m., when the fire happened, when they died. Is this true? I don't know. I'm not a spiritual expert. I can't confirm whether spirits exist, whether they can influence the living. But I know this. The dates match. The times match. The location matches. The behavior matches. 43 people died on that land in 1966, trying to jump to safety. 15 people have died in the building since 1988, jumping from balconies. Both groups jumped. Both groups died. Both in the same location. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. We reached out to Silvercord Villa management for comment. We sent multiple emails, made phone calls, requested an interview. They declined. Instead, they sent us a written statement through their lawyers. A cease and desist letter, actually, threatening legal action if we publish defamatory and false information about the property. The statement says, Silvercord Villa is a safe, well-maintained residential property that meets all Hong Kong building and safety codes. Any incidents that have occurred over the years are deeply regrettable, but are not unique to this property and are consistent with statistical norms for buildings of similar size and occupancy. We deny any suggestion that there is a pattern to these tragic events or that the property is unsafe in any way. Any content suggesting otherwise is false and defamatory and will be met with appropriate legal action. Statistical norms. Hong Kong's suicide rate is 12.5 per 100,000 people per year. Silvercord Villa has approximately 200 residential units. Average occupancy is 1.8 people per unit. That's 360 residents. At Hong Kong's average suicide rate over 36 years, Silvercord Villa should have had approximately 1.6 suicides, less than 2. They've had 15. That's 9 times the expected rate, but management calls it statistically normal. We also reached out to Hong Kong police. They confirmed they've investigated all 15 deaths. They confirmed no foul play was found in any case. All ruled suicide. When we asked if they see a pattern, if they've investigated the building itself, they declined to comment further. So officially, there's no pattern. 15 deaths over 36 years. Same building, same floors, same time window, same lack of warning signs. No pattern, but unofficially, every real estate agent in Hong Kong knows. Every security guard knows. Every local resident knows. Don't live in Silvercord Villa. Don't go to the upper floors. Don't step onto those balconies after midnight, because something in that building makes people jump, and it's been doing it for 36 years. So what do we do with this information? If you live in Hong Kong, if you're looking for an apartment, if you see Silvercord Villa listed at a suspiciously good price, you know now. You know why. Don't take it. Not worth it. No amount of savings is worth your life. If you're already living there, especially on floors 26 through 29, consider moving. I know it's expensive. I know it's inconvenient. I know you'll lose money. But consider the alternative. Consider being death number 16. If you can't move immediately, take precautions. Lock your balcony door at night. Use multiple locks. Install a chain. Push furniture in front of it. Don't go on to the balcony after 10 p.m. Ever, for any reason. If you wake up feeling compelled to go outside, resist. Turn on all the lights. Call someone. Watch TV. Do anything to break the compulsion. If you hear a voice telling you to jump, leave the apartment immediately. Go to the lobby. Call security. Don't stay alone. And if you have children, never let them near the balcony. Lock their bedroom doors from the outside if you have to. Watch them constantly, because whatever is in that building doesn't discriminate. It targets adults, children, healthy people, sick people, happy people, depressed people. It doesn't care. It just wants people to jump. If you're a tourist visiting Hong Kong, you won't accidentally stay there. It's a residential building, not a hotel, but you might walk past it. It's on Canton Road, popular shopping area, right next to the harbor. If you do, pay attention. Look up. Look at the upper floors. Maybe you'll see what the security guards see. The figure on the balcony, the one that floats 6 inches above the ground. Or maybe you won't see anything. Maybe it'll just look like a normal building. But now you know. You know what happened there. You know the 43 people who burned, the 15 people who jumped. You know the survivors who escaped, the security guards who quit, The children who heard the flying man. You know the voice that says, "Jump down." The hands that push. The compulsion that can't be resisted. You know, and knowledge is protection. This investigation took 3 months. Interviews with survivors who were afraid to speak. Research through archives nobody had looked at in decades. Translations of documents in Cantonese. Consultations with historians, feng shui, masters, psychologists. It cost money, time, energy. But we did it because these stories matter. Because 15 people are dead and their families deserve answers. Because the survivors deserve to be believed. And because you deserve to know the truth. If this investigation affected you, if you want us to continue documenting Asia's forgotten horror cases, subscribe right now. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. We need your help to reach it. 1,000 subscribers means we can do this full time, travel to more locations, interview more witnesses, access more archives. 1,000 subscribers means more investigations, more truth, more answers. Silvercord Villa isn't the only building in Hong Kong with this problem. We've identified 3 more. 3 more buildings with unusual death patterns, unusual phenomena, unusual reports, and we're going to investigate all of them. But we need your support. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on all notifications. Like this video. Share it with someone who needs to know. Leave a comment telling us which case you want us to investigate next. Because these stories matter. These victims matter. And the truth matters. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for helping us reach 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. Help us cross the finish line. Silvercord Villa still stands on Canton Road in Tsui. 33 floors, retail below, residential above. The apartments on floors 26 through 29 remain mostly empty, have been for years. The elevators still move on their own between 2 and 4 a.m. Security guards still hear footsteps on empty balconies. Residents still report feeling watched, feeling compelled, feeling pushed, and every few years, someone else jumps. The most recent death was in 2019. Linda Chen, the woman from the security footage, the one who sleepwalked to the end of the corridor, who stood staring at the balconies. Before we started this investigation, I didn't believe in ghosts. I didn't believe in hauntings. I believed in psychology, sociology, statistics. But after 3 months of research, after interviewing survivors, after seeing the security footage, after learning about the fire in 1966, I don't know what I believe anymore. Maybe it's mass psychology, copycat suicides, the building's reputation creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe it's something structural we haven't discovered. Some environmental factor science hasn't identified yet. Or maybe it's exactly what the survivors say it is, what the security guards describe, what the feng shui masters warned about. Maybe 43 people died in that fire. Maybe their spirits are trapped on that land. Maybe they're reliving their final moments, running to the edge, looking down, jumping, and maybe they're taking the living with them. I don't know. I can't prove it, but I know this. 15 people have died in that building, all from the upper floors, all between 2 and 4 a.m., all with no warning, all jumping. And if you ever find yourself in Hong Kong, walking down Canton Road, and you see Silvercord Villa towering above you, do yourself a favor. Keep walking. Don't look up. And never, ever live there. Stay safe. Stay subscribed. And remember, Some buildings are cheap for a reason. This is one of them.